these like places in the world where a whole bunch of people get together, like a boardroom or a think tank, and they like sit together and they have a conversation and they solve world problems.
They do that.
Do they solve them or they just think of solutions?
Well, in think tank, actually, I don't know. What's the difference?
One is actually work, yeah.
Or they don't even try?
Okay, so I don't know. Both, I guess. So I think like it's an important skill set that you need. So try to do what we're doing and try to wait your turn and listen to other people. You'd be surprised how smart other people are. Surprises me all the time. Okay. So, it was a little bit, but it was also a compliment. It was a roast guised and it was a compliment guised in a roast, I think. Okay. So, now,
So please, are you a people pleaser or are you not?
kind of.
Yeah.
So, in the book, there's this idea that's not really talked about. Well, it is. It's talked about, just not named. And it's called being like an altruist or altruism or altruistic. So I'm spelling it for you because I think it's probably a new word for you. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So an altruist is somebody who does things exclusively for others. This.
Yeah, that's the one.
So this weekend, I probably spent 12 hours a day grading your papers, 2 days. I did very little else. Like, I think I vacuumed. I pet my dog. I ate. Very little else. So, I don't get paid overtime. Why was I doing that again?
Because you have to. It's a job.
I don't have to.
I mean, you could just like work.
Just give us-
Clearly, there are teachers who don't do that.
Yeah,
Just
Pi
give us all
doesn't do that.
hundreds.
Yeah.
And I used to have a spouse who said give you all hundreds. So, like, why? Why do I do that?
So you can spend more time with such spouse.
Because
Am I this?
No, because you
Yes.
because you feel fulfilled, like you're doing something, and you want to do your job right.
So you mean I'm getting that out of it? I'm doing it for that.
No, she ain't happy because
Because
well,
you're
she is.
getting cash money.
Quit talking. Side
She
talking.
doesn't get paid overtime.
That is true. I can
Or
never
so that she doesn't have so much work when she comes back into work.
I guess, but
It's like getting a.
That's still for me, right?
The
Yeah.
paycheck though.
So then, since it's for you.
For all
Okay,
the work
so-
for the paycheck.
But
because
it's
you
also
want us
hard
to get our
grades.
grades and get our feedback and be
So it's all for
happy
you?
about
Well, she
that.
no, she has to do it eventually.
Like,
It's not like
you're
she's doing
doing
it just for.
for us.
Okay, so
Our needs.
I think I don't really think I went into teaching because I don't know. Maybe it's a little of both.
Yeah,
Like-
so we can't marry
See,
two
I know.
together, but
And in
it's
the
like-
book,
I guess
the reason that you can't marry the two is because in the book they're not. And I wanted you to know. I want you to like kind of know which side you lean towards. I lean towards this side. But I do think that I do things like when I see you succeed, it makes me happy. So I feel fulfilled by that, like what you said. So when I'm grading somebody's paper for the like 9th time that I've read it, and I'm like, they made 100. That's amazing. Like I love that feeling. When I'm reading it for the first time and you made 100, I think that's wonderful. Rare, but wonderful. And so like, I think both. But in Anthem, it's one side or the other. So I need you to know, like, it's actually this side. So, clicker. Got it. I wore pockets on purpose. Okay. So we're going to read Anthem. It's a novella. That means little baby novel. Like, cute little novel. Okay. And Ayn Rand wrote it, and, okay, she grew up in Russia. She was born in 1905, and when was the Russian Revolution? Does anybody remember?
Nope.
1907.
1907.
1917. Good. 1917. So she was 12 during the revolution, and her family was rich, aristocrats. So she was kind of like Molly in Animal Farm. And so she was like, I had it pretty good before, what's all this? So in 1926, how old is she then? 21. Her family leaves the USSR. It's not easy to leave the USSR. In fact, they had barbed wire and guards, and they shot you if you got close. And I mean, you had to like sneak out, dig under, go across the fence in the middle of the night. I mean, it was rough.
How did they?
I don't know.
They drove their car.
Oh, they
So-
probably paid them because they're rich.
They probably did. So they got out and they went to Chicago, which is where she grew up. She was already grown up, but lived the rest of her life. And they changed their names. She ended up changing maybe her first name back, but they changed their name. I mean, they were rich and knew things, and the family. Anyway, they were looked for. So her most famous work is called Atlas Shrugged. It's a movie. It's actually 2 movies because it's so long that it had to be made into 2 movies because the book is like this, So they don't give you Atlas Shrugged for free.
No,
Why don't they give you?
I don't know.
They didn't
I don't know.
Propaganda.
Probably because it's their most famous.
And
Maybe.
this is famous.
Okay. She died in 1982 and she left a lot of money, which we already talked about. This book was written in 1937 and there were a bunch of cultural references which you probably don't watch anymore, or listen to Rush, so I'm cool with that. Okay. So a couple of years ago, I went through this PowerPoint, actually it was about 5 years ago, and I had the salutatorian in my class. He was sitting right here, and he went through this project, and he was doing his questions. So he would do like the first set of questions, and he made 100, and everybody else, didn't, and so his average was like an 80. And then he did the second set of questions, and he made 100, and everybody else didn't, or they didn't do as well, and he made like a 70, somewhere between 75 and 80. I saw him last year after he'd already graduated from college. He reminded me about this. He's still angry about it. And the third set of questions, he just didn't do. I mean, why would you? His return on investment, I turn in 0, I get a 75. It's pretty good, all things considered. So he just quit doing his work. And then at the very end, when I showed him this and said, oh, sorry, you really get to keep the grade you made, he was like, I made a 0. I would have done it, if I knew it was in it for myself. It's an interesting social experiment, really, because this is what socialism and communism are kind of based on. Everybody's in it for everybody else. Let's help everybody. Let's bring up your brother.
But then people won't do it.
So the question is, I guess, is this idea that we're in it for ourselves, is it a political ideology or just like humanity?
Humanity.
I mean, it's hard for us to distinguish the two, right? Because we have both here in the United States. But do you know somebody who's an altruist? Anybody?
Yes.
Name them.
My great-grandpa.
See, I think, usually in some class somebody says my dog. And I kind of tend to agree with that a little bit because dogs don't really, what are they in it for? Like to get their food or something? But they seem to live for me. You know what I mean? Does your dog live for you?
Service stuff.
No.
My
Maybe.
dog
She just run away.
is a raccoon.
Oh,
She
so then no. Okay, so what about,
She's in it really.
The question is, how does she get it?
okay, so what about, what about Jesus?
Yes.
If you.
I mean, he made the ultimate sacrifice. Was he doing it all for you?